Good day, Junior Techies. I'm Mrs. Brimacombe, and we are going to look at Fixed Assets Activity 7. The focus in this activity is on problem solving. Now, I know this is a question that you tend to battle with in an exam, and I think one of the reasons might be that we don't practice these type of questions enough. Secondly, we don't know where to start. So I'm going to show you how to approach a problem solving question. If I look at the information, there's always a reason why they've given me the information. They said here, one high-capacity printer is designed to print 50,000 copies, and they charge R1.20 per copy. There's a reason for this information. If I now look at shop 1, 2, and 3, I always suggest make a list of all the potential problems. So when we compare each shop with one another, we're going to compare and write down and circle where we feel that there's, or highlight where we feel there's a potential problem. When we're done doing this, we can now go to our answer booklet, and if the question says identify one problem, we only take one problem and we give advice on that specific problem. So looking now at the year the printer was purchased, we're going to look at shop 1, shop 2, and shop 3, and we're going to look at the cost and the accumulated depreciation. If I compare the year the printer was purchased, shop number 1 has the oldest printer. It was purchased in 2015. So now if I go to the cost of the printer and accumulate, and we calculate the book value, we can see that the book value equals 1. This means that it has reached its lifespan. So I'm going to circle that as a potential problem. The book value is equal to 1, so it means it's fully depreciated. Looking now at the number of copies printed and sold. The information said that each printer is designed to print 50,000 copies. So if I look at shop number 1, we're exceeding that capacity. So that could be a potential problem. 70,000 copies is being made with the oldest printer. If I look at shop number 2, they are using 100% of the total capacity. And if I look at shop number 3, they're only using 40%. 20,000 copies is being made out of the 50,000. This means this is a problem. It's a brand new printer, yet they're making the least amount of copies. So again, I'm going to circle that as potential problems. I can also now look at the number of copies printed and sold, and we compare it to the cash from customers deposited. Again, what I mentioned earlier, there's a reason why they provide you with the information. They said they charge R1.20 per copy. So if we now look at shop number 1, they've made 70,000 copies. At R1.20 per copy, it means they should have received 84,000. If we look at the cash from the customers deposited, they've only deposited 60,000. So there's a shortage, a deficit of 18,000. This means that there's money missing. If we look at shop number 2, the number of copies made was 50,000, and the expected money coming in, 60,000, and the cash from customers deposited, 60,000. It means there isn't any problem. Shop number 3, the same. The money expected to come in was 24,000, and the money deposited is exactly the same. So there's no money missing. So clearly with shop number 1, that is a problem with the money being missing of 18,000. Looking now at the number of spoiled copies, if I compare all the shops, shop number 2 has the highest amount, 5,870 copies are being spoiled. So I'm making a note of that. If we look at repairs and maintenance and we compare, shop number 1 is the highest amount is spent. And that is a problem. And this could relate to the asset being that old, the printer being 6 years old. So it's costing us more and more to repair it. And also, it's the oldest printer, but it's making the most copies, 70,000. It's exceeding its capacity. Looking at ink and other consumables used, shop number 2 is the highest. So I'm making a note of this and I'm circling that. And this links up to probably, if you look at the number of spoiled copies, they're making more copies than what they should because of the number of copies being spoiled, and that's costing them money. Now we can also look at cash from customers deposited. That will be our profits, the money coming in. So what we can do is we can compare that with how much we are spending. So if we take the cash from customers deposited and we subtract all the expenses, we can calculate what was our profit or loss for each one of those shops. So if I look at shop number 1, it made a profit of 24,200. Shop number 2, 22,100. But shop number 3 is making the lowest amount, 2,400. Yet again, they've got a brand new printer and they're making the least amount of copies and the least amount of profits. So now that we've looked at all of the different information given to you, we can go to our answer booklet and we can identify a problem, and very important, the solution, the advice must link up with the problem identified. Example, I cannot say 18,000 is missing and we say, but we need to replace the printer. That doesn't link up. If you identified now with shop number 1, the printer is being overused, 70,000 copies, you need to quote figures. The printer is old, it's fully written off at 1 rand. The maintenance becomes expensive, 4,000. Then the advice would be the printer will need to be replaced. And you will see later on, when we look at shop number 3 that's got a brand new printer, we can even swap printers. If I identify the problem as the 18,000 is missing, then your advice would be, we need to investigate why is that 18,000 missing. And then we need to take disciplinary action against this employee if that money is stolen. Then make sure we've got division of duties to prevent any fraud from happening. Looking at shop number 2, the problem, the ink and consumable items used was 19,500, which is high. There's a high number of spoiled copies, 5,870. So now this can be one of two things. One, it could be the incompetence of the employee, doesn't know how to work with the machine. Or secondly, there could be something wrong with the machine. So we can either say Dudu, who's the manager, needs training in the use of the printer to minimize the spoiled copies and to reduce the cost of ink and consumables. Or we can say the printer needs to be returned to the supplier if the warranty is still in operation. And if it's not, we need to send it in for repairs. If I look at Buxton, shop number 3, the problem with this shop, there's a low number of copies being made, not meeting the capacity. The new printer is underutilized. Only 20,000 copies is being made out of 50,000. The business is making a very small profit. So what is our advice? We can consider closing down the shop, but we need to investigate What is the reasons for this being so low? Is it because the manager is lazy? Is the shop situated in a poor area? So if we want to increase our profits, we need to probably see if we can advertise more to increase our sales. And then what we can do is we can also swap printers. As mentioned earlier, we've got the oldest machine making the most copies. We've got a brand new machine making the least amount of copies. So we can always swap the printing machines as well. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video on problem solving and you have a better understanding of how to approach these type of questions. This now concludes fixed assets. I hope also that you've learned a lot. It's so important to understand this topic. As mentioned in my videos before, this topic is incorporated fixed assets into all the different topics in accounting. So make sure that you understand it. I want to leave you with the following quote. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.